Hello, good evening, and welcome to another live edition of the CantinaMX podcast. My name is John Jagu. Glad to have you guys with us this evening. We're in the middle of the Liguilla. It's first leg of the semifinals. We already have a result in. Chivas was able to go to Toluca and draw 1-1 with the Diablos down in the Bombonera. A 1-1 game that, frankly, 1-1 that probably tastes like a victory, considering that Chivas is the better positioned team, higher seeded team. If they draw 0-0, then they will go ahead and make their first final since 2006. Keep an eye on that. And of course, right now live, I'm sure you guys are watching. You can watch and follow along with us. The game between Tigres and Cholos. Tigres is up 2-0 in the Volcan. Two late first half goals by Cererayan and also by Javier Aquino. Not to mention the fact that Topo Valenzuela went out injured, as Tigres up 2-0 against their counterparts from Tijuana in the first leg of the Liga MX semifinals. My name is John Jagu. Glad to have you guys with us tonight. We are live on YouTube, and of course you can listen to this and other of our previously recorded editions of the CantinaMX podcast on the podcast center at iTunes as well as on Google Play. So we do appreciate you joining us, and I'm sure we'll get more folks joining us as the as the game ends there in Monterrey. As always, we have a distinguished panel of guests with us. We have with us, actually looks like I'm outnumbered today. We have two Calis and a Texan. We have with us in Escondido, California, Daniel Preciado. Daniel, sad to hear your Santos losing, but at least they went out, as they say, con la cara en alto. And they gave Toluca a good scare in the second leg, but they were eliminated nonetheless. It's good to have you on the show tonight.
Good to be here, John. Good evening, Joel. Yeah, it was a rough way to disappointing, of course, but proud of the boys. They made a good showing. But like Chepo said, they lost in Torreon, so.
They did, and they also. I don't think that at least folks that don't follow Santos as closely as someone like you would, and frankly, I'll be honest with you, someone like me, just because it's like the last game of the week whenever they play at home. So if it's on, I'll watch it. And they really, really missed Giannini and Gael. I mean, just the difference those two made in Toluca was astounding.
I think it was huge, and I think if you take out arguably the two best players out of any team, you're going to see a pretty significant drop. I think but like you said, though, I think most people are largely unaware of their starting 11, so they're probably not, and not to make excuses. I mean, they still should have done better than 4-1 at home.
At home, yeah. So, which is so shocking because Santos is usually a really tough place to play for, especially in the clausura, just because it gets so hot that that kind of heat just doesn't really exist in the towns where Mexico has teams in Liga MX. It just doesn't get that hot. I mean, I remember Pumas when they played Santos in the playoffs. It's like 10 years ago, and Pumas was like the 7th seed or the 8th seed or whatever it was, and they ended up beating Santos at home like 3-0. And I was thinking what had happened. I don't know if that's going to be enough because Santos was so good at home, and they were such an unbelievably talented offensive team. And sure enough, the game in Torreon was like, it was a crazy game that Pumas ended up winning just because of the strength of the 3-0. So, yeah, it was a bit strange, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Of course, we can't continue the show without introducing our other panelist, who joins us from South Los Angeles. I'll be seeing Joel next week when we go out to California, talking about Joel Aceves. Joel, 1-1 Chivas drew Toluca. Joel, have you pulled out the telescope? Are you starting to see the signs? Is the Chivas comet making an appearance, or is it still a rumor at this point?
The comet is there. It's just gonna burn out before as it enters the atmosphere. It's
gonna be just a little pebble by the time it's done.
Yeah, we talked about this start of the season, and they were my favorites to win it. I was expecting them to have a not so difficult run to the final, with all due respect to Atlas and Toluca, those aren't really top teams. You know, they're accessible teams to get to the final, and I think they're if they do get to the final, it's most likely will be against Tigres, and Tigres is on fire. So Chivas has been struggling just to score, and struggling just as much just to win at home. So
Now
yeah,
the highest rated final, at least in the season format, was and I don't know if I should bring this up, Joel, but it was the 2004 final between Chivas and Pumas. I think it was. If you look at the historical numbers, it was by far. Oh, what a great pass! It was by far the most watched final in Liga MX history. I have a very sneaky feeling that if Chivas and Tigres end up making the final, I think that it could come very close to, or maybe even surpass those numbers, just because of the fact that it's Chivas and Tigres is a team that just everyone. I mean, they're almost. I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I mean, watching Tigres, they're like the neutrals' favorite. I mean, they're such a joy to watch. They're just a great team.
yeah, exactly. And that's not to say Chivas can't win. You still have to play the games. I'll just say Tigres is heavily favorites. So the chance is there, but I would.
So you wouldn't give. Well, let me ask you this. Let's pretend that Chivas and Tigres both make the final. What would it take for Chivas to go ahead and put on and sew the 13th star onto the
It would
12th?
take.
I get.
It would take Tigres choking. I mean, if I've seen something about Tigres in the final is if you could have a good, a good defense, you wait it out, you could beat them that way. It happened like when they played River Plate, and then the other final they just lost.
To Pachuca, which did exactly what you're talking about. They
Yeah.
I don't know as much if it was a stifling, but I mean, they certainly made things uncomfortable for the offense.
Yeah, and then for the Tigres strikers not to be on point, which at this point they are being very much on target. Because I mean, we Chivas has Pulido, and friend of mine from Twitter, and also I know him, and he was tweeting Pulino, instead of Pulido, and that guy has, he's called to be one of the ones to make a difference, and outside of Copa MX, he really hasn't done much.
Right.
So I mean, you need those players, and like Pizarro's just returning, and then you have like Fierro, who he does a lot of sacrifice, but he hasn't done much in the scoring department.
Imagine the story, Joel. Because Pulido is a former Tigre.
He is.
If Pulido comes in and plays, for Chivas in the Volcan in the final, and ends up. Now let me ask you this. Let's say that happens. They play and Pulido scores in the Volcan. Would he celebrate or not?
No, I think he would. I mean, it's for him, it's like getting one over Tigres,
Right.
So that
now would he be an ass about it, or do you think that he would have a very muted professional celebration?
No, I don't think he'll be an ass, but I mean,
I think it'll depend on the moment.
Right.
Yeah, if it's a big goal, he's going to celebrate it like.
Well, sure, but I mean, he's not going to run up to the corner flag and straddle it and start stroking it like.
Yeah, he's not gonna like taunt the fans or anything.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, let's. I mean, maybe that could be something that could happen.
John, what are the odds of Pulido just,
scoring,
elevating his game? Oh. Yeah, and scoring like a hat trick. Is it the same as him being kidnapped by a cartel and then freeing himself?
They're probably both in the realm of unlikely.
No, I'll tell you what is more likely for Pulido to post a picture of himself wearing a romper than him scoring a hat trick in the Volcan. Of course, now we have to, this is part of the CantinaMX show. That if he does get the hat trick, then I think we need to post a picture of you wearing a romper.
No, I would probably get
in
the
honor of Pulido. Oh, you would get the Pulido haircut before you'd wear a romper, huh?
If I put a romper, I'm gonna look like the Penguin from Batman Returns.
Well, at least you're being polite. I would look
dude.
like the Stay Puft Marshall.
I'm gonna look like Ñoño, dude. Yeah, no.
That's funny.
That's kind of how I stopped wearing soccer jerseys when they started making those skin tight.
Well, I remember, was it Cameroon in the 2002 World Cup that were going to wear the one piece?
Oh,
and FIFA outlawed it completely for whatever.
They also wanted to wear sleeveless.
Right.
One piece, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so Tigres is up 2-0 right now. There's about 50 minutes left in the game. This is kind of about where they were last week against Monterrey, where they were up 2-0, and then they got two late ones. In the second half of that, I want to pretty much put the series out of reach. Do we think the series is out of reach for Xolos even just at 2-0? Or, I mean, they could get a goal here and make it one goal away is almost worth two. And
I think it's shaping out to be more like similar to Monterrey. There's just
I was watching
a vast amount of pressure that's going to be on Xolos to they're going to be pressure to try to maybe get that away goal, which could just open them up for, like you said, another two, and then make that trip to Tijuana almost moot.
Right. No, that was the one thing last week when Monterrey was playing Tigres. They got the away goal. They went up. It was 3-1, and it was with like 4 or 5 minutes left in the game, and that was an absolutely huge goal. Because I remember the last time Pumas won, they had done the same. They went to Monterrey when Monterrey was included. They were struggling, but they got really hot at the right time, and they just made the Liguilla. And of course, it was like, they drew Pumas. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be miserable. And sure enough, in the first 20 minutes, they were already up 3-0. I mean, they were just on fire. I was with when Suazo was there, and I mean, they had a really good team. And but Pumas they stopped the bleeding, and they got that one away goal late in the second half. So they go back to Seoul, they win 2-0, and se acabó, and they won the series. So it's, getting, the away goals are just absolutely massive. You're absolutely right, Dan.
Well, but what was interesting though with in the Monterrey tie, that Monterrey got that goal, but the response was immediate.
Exactly. That was and that's what Toluca also did tonight with Chivas. You're absolutely right. They scored within the minute. Didn't Tigres last week after they got the goal?
Like it. It seemed like the second,
on the very next play.
Yeah.
Literally the next possession. It was a great goal too.
And that's pretty. That's really deflating. I mean, you fight and struggle and then like you get yourself back into a position where you have a reasonable shot at it, and then I mean they don't even let you warm up to the ideal of coming back. They just get another goal. So that to me, I thought was just really impressive by Tigres' part. Just like the way they were able to respond and just to like remove any notion of them coming back. I see something similar panning out the way with Xolos. I don't see Xolos having the firepower to keep up.
Well, the big problem with Xolos now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like technically Xolos, is it not? Like Sochi or Xochimilco, Xolos. Anyway, not Xolos. It's just I believe that is correct. Am I crazy? Am I losing it?
Yeah, I never cared much for the pronunciation.
That's it.
I know I know they just released a video on it. Kick. I've been
Uh-huh.
seeing a lot lately. I don't know where they came from. They've been doing a lot of Mexi promos.
Yeah, I've actually met those guys, and
And,
they've been around for a while. They've been around since the like the 2010 World Cup.
But they never used to do cover Mexican football, right?
They cover the national team.
Okay, well, I mean,
Yeah,
I've
I
been
met them
seeing
at the Gold
recently
Cup.
just videos. So yeah, they have a video right now saying you are probably saying Cholos wrong.
Oh, is it? I didn't realize that they had that out. Well, because
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
just saw
always,
the video. I haven't seen the video. I just saw that they made one.
X is actually a very interesting letter in the Spanish language because it's the only letter that has different pronunciations. Every letter in the Spanish language is pronounced one way and one way only, but except the X. The X can be a h, a ch, or a s. Very interesting. See, you guys learned something listening to the CantinaMX podcast.
Well, I was trying to think. Well, the G could kind of sound different, right?
Well, that's true. I guess depending on the. See, now why do you go do that to me, Dan?
Because that's what I do.
No, that's no. You're absolutely right. So it would be the G and the X are the only ones because the G can either be a G or the H, depending on whether or not there is a vocal fuerte or vocal débil in front of it.
Agua. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm the last person to be giving Spanish lessons.
Or gente.
There you go.
Yeah. Because E is a vocal débil. Isn't that right, Joel?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too good at that. I skip Spanish.
Yeah, well, that's. And I know. Now we should also, one thing I was going to mention. I'm sorry about Tigres is, obviously they have the great foreign players, but the Mexican players that do play for them have been outstanding. I mean, we cannot deny that. Aquino has been terrific. Dueñas has been just absolutely nothing short of sensational to the point where he might. I think he's at the point where he might play his way onto the onto the Confed Cup team.
John, do you know who had first dibs on Dueñas and passed him up?
Was that
they passed him up for Gallito?
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Was that your buddy, the one who has blocked you on the Twitter?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Do you have a Joel Twitter sock that you use to torment him?
No, I should create one, but I think Chivas with Dueñas would be in much better standing right now.
That's a very good point. And we're not taking away anything from Gallito, but Dueñas has just, he's probably the MVP of the league practically. I mean, he's had such a.
Gallito kind of disappeared from where he was at in 2014.
A lot of those Leon guys disappeared. Gallito did. I mean, Hulet was he was just he was devastating. I mean, he was devastating.
Yeah, that was that Leon midfield with Montes and Gallito and Gullit. It was, to me, that was the best midfield in the Mexican team.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the midfield that Piojo wanted to play in the World Cup, but it didn't. It didn't. Okay, now it has to be said that Gallito had a sensational World Cup.
He did. It was unfortunate. Yeah. Montes got injured, and then Gullit, according to reports, he just got scared.
He got a little freaked out.
Yeah. Got overwhelmed.
That was really unfortunate because I had high hopes for him. I thought that he was going to be like we I mean, I was looking at it, like Mexico finally has a guy that can, just has the size to be able to dominate, guys and the quickness and can score, and it just things didn't. I mean, he ended up playing a little bit in the Croatia game, but.
I'm gonna talk about something recently, John. Even though this game just happened, but we were talking about how Atlas is the original Cruz Azul.
Yes.
And you did, in that series, I thought they had the perfect opportunity to eliminate Chivas, and I think they lost the series at home because they should have looked for that second goal. I think if they would have had the 2-0 lead, and then
it would have made it really hard on Chivas to.
Chivas would have beat them 1-0, and they would have still gone through. They would have been more pressure. So I think that's where Profe Cruz lost the series. He took a gamble, came close, but there was a scene, there was a picture, and it went viral, and it's an Atlas fan crying, and this Chihuahua guy is hugging him, trying to comfort him. So if they started calling Atlas fans Chi hermanos.
Chi, oh yeah, I did see that. So he's the Chi hermano.
The Chi hermano, and for those that don't get the joke, it comes from Chivas' old anthem, and it used to say, "En todo Mexico hay un Chihuahua hermano." So they say, Chivas is so popular, you're about to find another fan. So it's a play on words of Chihuahua hermanos. Atlas are now the Chi hermanos.
Where was the strangest place you ran into a Chiva hermano?
Oh man, strangest place, huh? I don't think it was a Chiva hermano, but I was in Asunción, Paraguay, and I was in a taxi, and the dude, I asked the dude, hey, I noticed all the taxis have a sticker or a thing you hang from the rear view mirror of their favorite club. Well, where's yours? And he's like, no, man, I live in the wrong side of town. If I put mine, they'll break my window. He lived in the rival section of the town.
Right.
So he was asking me what team I went for, and I told him Guadalajara, and he was like, oh, you're a Chiva fans. And I was like, oh, snap. I was surprised he knew like the nickname.
Wow.
And I think a lot of it had to do with Chivas. It's obviously for.
This was in Paraguay?
Yeah, in Paraguay. So it's obviously from Libertadores. They got to play some big games and win big games. They beat Sao Paulo in Sao Paulo, playing a man down. They took out a Boca Juniors that.
Don't they all get ESPN also?
Yeah, but I mean, that's when you're more likely to see Chivas.
Well, just when I went to Costa Rica, they were all very familiar with the Mexican teams in the Mexican League.
Yeah, well, I mean, Central America
it.
gets Liga MX.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if that's
it's like
that's
the one
not the
place
case.
Liga MX outside the US that they actually export the league.
And also for a while, if we think about it, for a while, like 80% of the Paraguay national team was in Mexico.
Right. Yeah, right now it's the Chilean national team that's in Mexico.
That is right now like the most popular girl right now, right?
The current fad.
Yeah.
La más bella, yep.
And yeah, it's been Ecuador, and we've had Colombianos. So right now it's Chilenos. Is that 7-0, man?
Well, we've had Chilenos before, because remember Carlos Reynoso and
my boy
Miguel Angel. See, we need the Maester here to help us with this. But isn't the Miguel Angel Gamboa, wasn't he a big Chilean that played? Was it? Man,
that guy I remember is Fabian Estay.
You guys are forgetting El Pony Ruiz.
Yeah, that's the guy we missed out on, man. Chile never really used him. We could have used him.
I was going to ask.
Him and
I didn't
Borghetti,
think
man.
he ever played for them at all.
They capped him, and he did play a few games, but I mean,
how could they not use? How could they not? I mean, he was
great, man.
Man,
the joke used to be that Borghetti wouldn't really hit the ball. That Pony Ruiz would just, ricochet it off of his head because his crosses were that good. So Borghetti just had to stand in the box, and Pony Ruiz would do the rest, man.
Yeah, that's shocking that he didn't play that much for. I didn't know that he had played at all for Chile, and I was like, man, if he's naturalized, good God, why wouldn't you want to have him on? But I didn't realize that he'd been capped a few times. But I mean, seriously, I mean,
And I think he did play. I think he played once for Mexico, but it wasn't an official game. It was it was uh it was like the Bimbo All Stars,
oh,
and
yeah,
it
I
was
wonder.
Mexicans versus extranjeros, and he
See, now
played.
that would be a great commercial of Khaled now, and like everything he does. Like Bonnie Ruiz is there. Khaled catches a huge pig, a huge fish, and it's Bonnie Ruiz that's helping him reel it in and stuff. That would be a great commercial.
Yeah, yeah. So I wonder what he's up to, man.
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to
Dan,
do a
Dan
little
should know.
googling. Yeah, that's on me right there.
Speaking of Chileans, did you guys happen to catch the commercial that the Chilean broadcast company used as their teaser for the Confed Cup, where they make fun of Argentines and Uruguayans and Mexicans? It's very well done. Oh, and Spaniards too. It was it was very well done. I recommend it if you haven't seen it. Basically, the saying, we're going to call the games like Chile plays, without fear. So very well put together promo. Now that they did have the at least the list for the games that we're going to see Joel next week at the LA Coliseum. Although I have a feeling that the players are going to be playing in the qualifiers, probably won't be playing as much in these. So I'm not sure what kind of team we're going to get to see against Croatia, Joel, because a lot of guys have their last week. I guess their last week this week. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of a team we get play for us in Los Angeles. But he did announce actually a very large call of 32 players. So I know that they have to turn in their list of 30 players. I think today was the deadline for the Confed Cup, so they would have released their Confed Cup roster today. I was working a baseball game, so I didn't get a chance to specifically see anything. But other than the 32 guys that were called, a lot of names that we kind of expected we would see, and the message was pretty clear from Juan Carlos Osorio that if you play in Europe, chances are pretty good I'm going to call you up. And it's looking like the base of the Confed Cup team will be the folks that play over in the old continent.
It's a strong squad. A lot of attacking options. It's going to be it seems like it's going to be a tough one to call because you could argue that some of the ones that you would typically go with aren't exactly having the best of years, but that's most of the Europeans.
Right.
So
well, that's the thing is, how it's just interesting to see how different countries are approaching the Confed Cup. I have absolutely 100% no problem with what Germany's doing because let's face it. Does Germany need to play the Confed Cup? Absolutely not. They're at an echelon that is just beyond 99% of the world. They play an unbelievable brand and have for years. They're clearly the best team in the world and have been for at least since the 1970s.
And I'm sure that team they're going to throw out there is probably going to do okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We joked a few weeks ago. We said, yeah, they'll be the U23s and they'll still make the final.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But
so
though? I think it's telling, and it's not in a bad way, but it is. You can see the team, the one country that's actually done something and continues to do what they do, and then you have someone who hasn't done really anything and is trying to get to that point. So yeah, they have to go into this tournament thinking of it like it's a a really good opportunity, and it is, because I'll be surprised if everybody takes lesser squads. But yeah, Mexico's got a great chance to exercise some demons, and then maybe start building toward maybe getting a seed, like you were mentioning.
Yeah, I mean that is crucially important for. I mean, if Mexico wants to get a seed, which I would assume they would, then yeah, this tournament is crucially important, because now the one thing that FIFA does not take into account is if this is the Confed Cup and it's an official tournament. So if Germany wants to send the U17s to FIFA, this is a full senior tournament. So, I'm not saying Mexico's going to beat Germany, but if they did, it would be as if they were beating the number one team or whatever. I'm sure the number one, they have to be number one, the number one team in the world. So yeah, that would.
Yeah, we're still getting the points.
Exactly, and that's the reason why Mexico got the seeding in the 2006 World Cup, and it was the reason why the United States came extremely close to getting a seeding in the 2006 World Cup, because Mexico, if y'all remember, from 1999 when they lost to the when they lost to Brazil in the Copa America, they played them again a few weeks later in the Confed Cup in the Azteca, and from that point till 2002, they beat Brazil every time they played. And a couple of those were the U23s, and people's like, hey man, it's senior tournament, Brazil's there. We're counted as if it's Brazil. And Mexico ended up being ranked like 4th or 5th in the world because they kept beating Brazil.
It's like we had the Konami cheat code: up, up, down, down, left, right, left, right.
Exactly. So, I mean, it was great because they won the 99, then they won in the Copa America in 2001. They won, they beat them a few times in the Gold Cup. So more than a few times in the Gold, but again, the Gold Cup was U23. Yeah, so that's how Mexico was able to get that seed. And Mexico would obviously be in a much better position this time around if they were to get a seed, because it lessens their chances. Well, actually, it eliminates their chances of being in a group of death, because there'd be one less massive team to worry about. So, instead of having a group, it would be like, I'm just going to throw this out there, like Germany, Mexico, Ivory Coast, Colombia. I mean, that could conceivably be a group in a World Cup. But if Mexico was a seed, that would never happen. So yeah, it would be absolutely 100% crucial for, if Mexico wants to get that seed, to have a very successful Confed Cup. And Dan, you think that the team is strong enough, and the schedule, frankly, works in their favor, because they play Russia last, where unless if Russia goes bananas and beats both Portugal and, well, even so, regardless of what unless if Mexico, either one lay an egg, the chances are really high that the Mexico-Russia game is basically a playing game for the semifinals. It's a quarterfinal game, and that's going to be the third game. So that is the schedule is favors Mexico. Now I'm not saying they're going to beat Russia, but at least they don't have to play Portugal.
And they're going to have fresh legs.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
So there is that positive, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they could play themselves into good form, and they're going to have the legs to be able to handle the tournament. So I mean, you can conceivably see how it could actually pan out pretty well for them.
Right. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm conceding a loss to Portugal, and it's only because and I'll call him what Chicharito calls him, Chris, is just, I mean, holy crap. I mean, I can't think of a. I mean, Dueñas is a good player and is having a great season. Ronaldo's he's just playing out of his mind. I mean, he's just been outstanding. And just a goal scoring machine. He's been unstoppable, at least in the first half of the year. And he's been going into these tournaments. He went into the World Cup injured in 2014. One of the previous ones he was injured. He is 100%, and it's going to be a handful.
You just got to send someone in there to sweep the leg and.
Well, maybe that's what Dueñas can do. Just go in there and.
You think he's good for that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, He just did one a few minutes ago. In fact, it is over in Monterrey, 2-0 for you folks that are just joining us. And I'm sure we'll get more stragglers here as we send out folks to let them know that we were on the CantinaMX podcast here live after the Liguilla. Tigres wins 2-0. Chivas ties 1-1 in Toluca. Second leg on Sunday with Chivas playing first, and then the game in Tijuana. Joel, you should make an effort to go down to TJ and watch that. Both of y'all should. I mean, geez, you guys live right there.
How does the application for credentials work with the?
Well, that out of but you guys have a hookup.
Okay. Well, Joel does.
Well, you both do. Joel hookup es nuestro hookup.
Okay, well, I can't be presumptive like that.
Well, just like I have hookups around here. You know, everyone has hookups. We're trying to get the country hooked up.
But yeah, that would actually be kind of cool. I'm still waiting on that Gold Cup approval.
Yeah, you know, I'm hoping that'll happen for us. I think because I do want to go. I think Mexico plays in San Diego, right? So
yeah, Mexico, Salvador, and I think it's I've already figured.
They're playing that at the Murph.
And that might be something like Jamaica and Martinique or something.
Right? Is the Murph still standing?
The Murph, yes, it's still called Qualcomm though. But yeah, Jack Murphy. That's
right.
Cool.
Well, it's still,
you know, that's what it was. That's what it is.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, well, hopefully that'll happen for us. So, Joel, you said earlier that this is pretty much pan cocido. We should just go ahead and just go ahead and give Tigres the trophy now. Should they engrave the name on Tigres' name or Tigres' name on the trophy at this point?
You know, I make them favorites, but you still have to play the games, so anything can happen.
See, Joel, now you're hedging because you know that the people are listening, especially Chivas fans. And
no, that's just how it's always.
You know, we don't want.
They're favorites.
You know, it has been a while since we have heard from our good friend the coach. We haven't had a good Chiva contra Chiva in so long. I'm not sure what's going on with him. I'm sure he's been very busy. He does coach.
He just realized he didn't stand a chance, so he just, you know.
Oh, so you think that he's like in the corner crying because he could never best you in a Chiva contra Chiva. That he just quit coming on.
Yeah, he's still trying to figure it out.
Will you give credit where credit is due?
I always have, John. Always.
Yeah.
No, I mean.
So what do we have in?
I'm not backtracking, but there's always a chance, you know. But I mean, I wouldn't bet my money on it. So.
What are we drinking this evening, boys? It is a CantinaMX podcast. So I want to make sure that we have everyone's orders correct.
Oh,
well, it sounds like Joel's drinking out of a bucket.
Yeah, no kidding. Excuse me. Sounds like. Yeah, what are we having, Joel?
It's just water, dude.
Yeah, we don't believe you, Joel. You drinking water out of a huge garrafón?
Nah, I put water in a glass bottle.
Do they do the garrafones in LA?
Oh yeah, at the to go to the waterias to get filled up.
Oh
yeah. Well, they have those everywhere, even in Escondido.
But the big glass ones, Well,
I'm just talking about the sparklets type of bottle.
Oh no, I'm talking about the big glass garrafones that they have in Mexico that are heavy as hell and just ridiculous. You know what I'm talking about, Joel?
Yeah, I used to have one.
Yeah, but I guess they have the other ones too. But that is what it sounds like. Because I know that we used to have one. You know, I just want to preface this by saying that I grew up in Mexico City. So occasionally we would go to. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. My grandparents had a house in Acapulco, and they had that was where they had the big refrigerated water thing with a huge garrafón, and it would just make this cool noise. And when I was a kid, I just thought it was just the greatest thing. So I did nothing but drink water the whole time I was there. Because I
pretty privileged, huh?
Pardon me?
Pretty privileged.
Who?
You sounds pretty decent growing up, man. Hanging out in Acapulco.
Hey, John hanging out in Acapulco. They made a music video based on that.
They
It's
did?
Cuando Calienta el Sol. You want to get a glimpse into what John was doing?
Well,
Play
I was
that video
very, yeah,
on YouTube.
but also understand that I left when I was very young, so it wasn't, I mean, it was not. I'm actually very jealous of my sister because she, when we moved, she was like 17 or 18, so she got to experience a much more, a much completer version of Mexico than I did. So it's something we do. Actually, to this day, we still talk about it. But they had a huge garrafon there, and I remember that because we used to live on a street that was very steep, and just you could hear the truck coming from the very bottom of the hill because it took it a long time to get up. We also, obviously we are. You want to mention? I know it's something that we do talk about occasionally, but one of the old. I guess one of the classic owners of Liga MX, who's no longer in the league, but had the Tecos team for a long time. The Leaño family lost their patriarch. Carlos Leaño did pass away this week. We do want to send our respects to the Leaño family who were in the league for a very long time. I'm actually enjoying a Victoria. It seems to be my beer of choice during the CantinaMX podcast. And then Dan, are you enjoying another craft beer?
No, not today. I'm recovering from a cold. I'm not sure you can hear it, but so I had un whiskey earlier to try to help loosen things up, and that helped. Yeah. But it got me really sleepy, so I don't want to. I'm actually sipping on a coffee.
Really?
Yeah.
No hot toddy for you?
Actually, I'm thinking about making one before I go to bed.
I've always been a fan of the tequila when I'm sick like that. It seems to really help.
You mean like just boil some water, add a shot of tequila, and lime juice or lemon juice?
Sure.
That doesn't sound bad.
Or just skip the water.
Or yeah. Well, I only have whiskey, but no, I've always been at least been of the belief for some reason. Like drink hard alcohol when you got a cold. For some reason, I don't know if it's just me BSing myself, but I feel like it helps. It's like, let's kill whatever's in there.
Well, it is medicinal,
So I just try to make my body inhospitable as possible to foreign like bodies. So I just pickle myself with alcohol.
Right.
So yeah, I'm doing better.
Good. Well, we're glad to hear it.
But no craft beer today, unfortunately.
Well, we're wondering why you do have more of that deeper intoned radio voice. When I get real sick, I end up my voice gets much lower, and I wasn't really able to project the more like a smooth jazz kind of radio voice.
Yeah, right now I got a decent amount of depth to my voice. It masks some of the nasalness of it, but it's still there. I can still hear. I can still hear the nasally sound that comes out of my awful radio voice. But what are we gonna do?
Right.
I am pretty enough for TV, but we're not doing video. So what are you gonna do?
Okay, so let me ask you all this. Okay, so we have 3 players for Tigres who've just been playing great. They're Mexican players. It's Dueñas, obviously Aquino, and then actually Hugo Ayala has been terrific too. Now, with the Confed Cup coming, would these guys, they've been back-to-back champions? Does that give them a leg up on other folks as far as competition to make the Confed Cup, even to start on the Confed Cup team, or are they just better players and it just doesn't matter whether or not Tigres won or not?
I think it has no bearing. Sorry, go ahead, Juan.
No, you were first. You were first, Ali.
Yeah, dude, I don't think it matters much. What happens in the Liguilla at this point. The better players, I think, will play. And actually, let me preface that. whatever formation he wants to go with, he's going to go with. I don't think their performance in these games are going to impact that decision too much.
Okay, so you don't think it matters all that much? I mean, if
no, I mean they've shown already their quality. So guys like Aquino and Dueñas, I mean, I wouldn't want to play them any less if they didn't win the championship.
Right. Joel, would you prefer to have a base of players like that, or you think that
John, you know the answer, John. We've talked about this. We've covered it many times, but the most successful team, actually the majority, if not all of the World Cup winning squads, have all had a core group of players that play in the same club. So yes, my answer is if players are doing good in a team, I put him in there. But I mean, knowing Osorio and his rotations, we might not see them at the same time.
Do you think
it wouldn't shock me to never see Dueñas play? To be honest with you, just because
actually, I think he's the one that has the most chance of playing over Aquino and Ayala.
Okay,
Aquino's third string on the national team.
Yeah, no, Aquino, no, but I could see him just throwing a bunch of huge bodies in a position where he would be typically playing.
But that's the thing, though, is that Mexico doesn't really have, out of their starters that you would normally see in the midfield, they don't have a guy that recovers the ball and gets the ball back as well as Dueñas does. And what makes him even more of a tantalizing, a little bit more interesting, is that on top of being great defensively, he's halfway decent on the attack as well. He's got a great shot, and he's got a nose. He's good on set pieces. So he's not like guys that just destroy, and then they can't pass to save their lives. I mean, he does all right, and with Herrera being he's been very inconsistent, and I mean, I could certainly see a case where if in practice, if Dueñas is playing better than Herrera, Dueñas could easily start, and I would be okay with that. So those, we'll see. Now, obviously, we're not going to see Dueñas on the in the game next week because he'll still be playing the final. We would assume. So we won't get to see him next week in Los Angeles. So Joel, who is actually going to play for Mexico next week in Los Angeles? Because I mean, we got guys that are just coming back from Europe that probably aren't going to play. I mean, are they going to be able to field enough guys? Joel, did we sign up for a Molero, Joel? Or was that what's going to happen to us?
I think that was pretty obvious, John. It's the Mole tour, against Croatia and Ireland. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it'll be a fun game regardless. Unless they start, cuidándose las piernas, which I wouldn't blame them.
Sure. Now, did you get a chance to watch your Chivas, Joel, today?
Yes, I did, sir, and they almost got away with it too. Except Toluca tied 2 minutes after. But yeah, it confirmed some of my fears. It was funny because I've been talking about how Chivas is a team that has a hard time winning at home, and Toluca they become the same. They haven't been able to win at home in 4 or 5 games now. So I think Chivas has that great advantage of finishing higher. They did finish higher. I'm guessing they did. In the table?
They did. They were third in the table.
Yeah, third. Okay. Yeah, because I know Toluca was battling, in first place, and then towards the end of the season, they just had a massive drop. Chivo hermano. Gonna be Chilla.
Was it a just result?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was. But I still have Chivas as favorites. They were a bit more aggressive.
No,
Just
no,
still
I'm,
having.
I'm going to ask you a question, Juan, and I hope you don't take this personally, but it seems like every time we talk to you about Chivas, you either give us the the nail biters response or the bedwetters response when it comes to Chivas. So you said my worst fears were confirmed. You know, it's
Yeah, and I
just
have been about because the team having a hard time scoring and winning at home. I mean,
I feel like what's going on with you and Chivas. You remember X-Men when I think it was the first one when Mystique came in and injected that nasty stuff into Cerebro, and when Professor X put the helmet on and he had a freak out and couldn't find people. I think that somebody has injected some sort of poisonous substance in the Chivas collective of your soul, and you're having a hard time getting rid of it. Hopefully, it'll happen for you soon.
no, but it's something we've been seeing if following the games. Chivas won about 4 games without being able to score. In the run of play, I think they had like 1 goal, which came off a penalty. And then
Yeah, well, they had 2 goals, but they were both from penalties.
they were both, so they've had a couple games. And then even this goal, it came off the ball, bounced off a defender.
And they even lost to Cruz Azul, which, I mean, let's face it, that's.
So you could see that how much stronger they could be, but they're just not playing as well as they should. And injuries is obviously plays into it, but like overall, they're still lacking more more punch.
Joel, fue justo el resultado, Joel, el empate, fue justo.
It was a just result, man, and I see. I'm pretty confident Chivas was making the final.
So Chivas is making the final. So you're saying Chivas Tigres.
Yeah, Chivas Tigres, and like I said, like if Chivas had like all their players, I would have them as favorites over Tigres, but just given the circumstances and how things have been playing out, I think that the table turned and Tigres are the favorites. And it's funny because they their turnaround came with a win over Chivas.
This is true. That's where it started all. So maybe
Chivas could have probably.
Yeah. What was it? 3-0?
Yeah, it was 3-0. They beat Chivas 3-0. They beat Pumas 4-0. They beat Cholos 3-0. I mean, they beat Querétaro 5-1.
Is doing that. That's what Chivas should be doing. That's what they paid $60 million for. Those are the type of results they should be getting.
So you think that they should be playing like Manchester United in the mid-90s?
No, not like Man U, like Tigres. Just you know. You don't have to go. We don't have to cross the pond. Just see what they're doing in Monterrey. That at least. I mean, that's what is expected or should be expected. But I think with Chivas fans, we're very fair weathered. We're happy just to squeak by.
Yeah, I don't know who are more fair weather, Chivas fans or America fans, because when America won their first title a few years ago, I had no idea how many Americanistas I had on my Facebook because they never talked about it. All of a sudden they win, and then it was nonstop. It's like you got to be kidding me. You guys don't say anything about it. For 5 years, don't even talk about any game. Nothing. And all of a sudden they win the title, and it's like I've been Americanistas. It's on and on and on. It's like, please.
No, I'm very rational. I feel they're more demanding, but they're very rational with how they treated Pelaez. And I have to call out good friend Jonik, because he was blaming Pelaez for the transfers when it is known that Pepe Romano is in charge of that. So to me, it was interesting seeing how much Peláez was being attacked, despite how well their team has been, and so it's just another way around. We're just pretty fair weathered. We see like idols get sent through the back door. We see a bunch of stuff that the club treating unfairly, and no one seems to care. Like there was no protest over not going to Libertadores.
You mean, but maybe if there would have been a protest, it would have been like the protest of the Atlas fans that got together at the Ángel to protest them leaving Cancun, and like 7 people showed up.
Yeah, but I mean, Chivas should just we're just lacking, man. We lack that passion. So
I did see in the Twitter sphere that Pepe Romano is likely to go to.
No, he's out. Oh,
to
another
Necaxa. What a shock!
What a shock! I was thinking Peláez. I guess Peláez is not going to, because they're not working together.
Dude, no, he's not working for the company, man. He is done.
Oh, well, I mean, for now,
Yeah. So
for now,
that's why I do think he's going to go. I mean, I think it's the point where I think that the relationship is untenable and irreparable.
Well, that was and that was the whole breakdown, because Romano started making more shots. Peláez wanted to like stay with Nacho to the end.
Imagine, I mean, if it got so bad for Peláez that he leaves knowing that Romano was going to go anyway to Necaxa, then it was bad.
And you know who's at Necaxa, John? Who will be their coach?
Well, Nacho.
It's Nacho. It's the same people, man. Same people. And this is the interesting thing, because it was never too clear who brought Nacho to America, because Pepe Romano I think Pepe Romano was the guy that had taken Nacho to.
Well, see, that's the thing is that Peláez would have never made that move.
And then, but see, there's the thing. He's on record saying that he did not make that call.
I mean, Peláez is a studious guy. I mean, and Nacho had done nothing to warrant getting that opportunity. I mean, I'm sorry, but to coach America, you have to be, if you haven't won anything, you have to be like a really special kind of guy that you can just tell is on this.
He was setting up orange cones at Atlético de Madrid.
Right.
That's more than Baños, dude. That's more than Baños.
So they're gonna bring Jimmy Bath Salts in to run the team, and
that's right. And
Miguel Herrera is going to be the coach.
But who's taking over bathrooms at the national team? They haven't quite.
Well, they keep throwing Luis Miguel Salvador's name around.
No, I think he threw his own name in.
Oh, did he throw his name around? Yeah.
Yeah, he put that name in that cup.
Yeah.
In the goblet.
Was it his a close friend of his, Luis Manuel Santorana, that gave the information? Well, how would you feel about that? How would you feel about Luis Miguel Salvador?
I don't know. I don't really know, because I don't really follow Monterrey. I don't really know what to say.
Well, he was the guy, along with Vucetich, that when they had their good run, they did well. But then Vucetich has one mediocre season and he fired him. So
yeah, see that. I don't like that.
Yeah, I have a major, like, you can't fire a guy for one bad season after you had so much success in the city that they name a street after you.
But I'm gonna tell you something, John, and I hope to the listeners.
Well, hang on.
All three of them.
Do we need to mark down the time? Okay.
No, this is something that we've seen. Anybody that has followed the tricolor long enough, it's that usually whenever the GM leaves, the coach follows soon after. Whoever brings in the coach, and Bathrooms was the one in charge of bringing in Osorio.
Do you honestly believe that was his call?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
At least he was at the forefront, so he's gonna he's he's gonna take the blame. That's just the way it's always been, you know. He announced it. Uh, he said he was in charge when they were doing all the when they were doing the scouting for a coach.
Well, the only thing I remember Jimmy Batsalt's doing was when Osorio landed, he picked him up at the airport.
Yeah, no, but you could go get articles when they announced it and everything, and
Oh, I remember.
and
I read the articles. It was
he was the one saying how he met all the qualifications and all that. And it's always like when it's usually it's when there's a change in the FMF presidency and you see um, the coach leave soon after. They usually switch them out at the same time. So I could see something like that. I could see a switch up soon.
well, that's something that we need. I mean, again,
It's already in motion.
I mean, Osorio's on thin. I mean, he's after the 7-0. Your ice is going to be very thin.
Yeah, they've just been waiting for a bad result to get
Right.
rid of him.
Exactly.
All those records don't matter. And I said it before. With La Puente, he had a Confederations Cup, and that didn't save him. I would have given him a second cycle just on that alone. First ever FIFA trophy, and we booed him over what is bad Gold Cup results.
No, they tied like Trinidad and Tobago or something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, so in comparison, Osorio hasn't done anything.
Well, I mean, to me, also, I mean, if Osorio, he has the two Confed Cup aside, yes, Confed Cup's important, yada yada yada, but the two games ahead of that, the one against Honduras and one against the U.S., both at the Azteca. They're playing Sunday against the U.S. the Azteca, and they put it at 7:30. I mean, seriously, why on earth wouldn't you play that game at noon?
Well, I mean, our players aren't. Our Euroball players wouldn't hang it.
Do you think the Azteca is noisier and better during the day or at night?
No, it's better at day, but we don't have the players for that anymore.
They'll be there for a week. They've did you see how well they did last time? They went to Cuernavaca for 3 days.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll be the same. I don't think it'll be the same if we had like a Mexico-based squad. They don't.
Yeah. Well, regardless, those two games are incredibly important, and I mean, again, there's like a point threshold that he has to get at. He has to get 4 for sure, which means he has to win one and at least tie the other. And if that doesn't happen, and if he has a 3-0 at the Gold Cup, at the Confed Cup, he's gone.
Yeah, well, in the Confed Cup, he's gonna be judged with how the team looks.
Right.
And that's something they've done all the time. If you're not entertaining enough, they'll get rid of you. And that was one of the reasons with La Puente, because he was and
it also could be as long as they meet and if they qualify for the World Cup, which they could do if they beat Honduras and have a chance to beat the States, if they win both games, they have. I mean, they should mathematically be qualified for the World Cup at that point. So that would obviously put them in a very good mood to play the Confed Cup, and then he can start experimenting. But if they don't get at least the one win and the tie, and they go to the Confed Cup and lose, and you're right, Joel, and maybe Dan can chime in on this too. But say they play Portugal and they lose 3-2, and it's just a crazy goal by Ronaldo in minute 92, and that's how they lose, and then they beat New Zealand by whatever it is, and then they tie the Russians, but the Russians had more goals against New Zealand, so they end up 3-0 and they're done, which I think is a very likely thing to happen.
Yeah,
frankly.
that's a possible scenario.
Yeah, very possible scenario.
I'd say possible, not likely.
And then they go home. I mean, that to me would be a respectable 3-0.
Yeah.
But if they lose to Portugal, barely squeak by New Zealand, and then lose to the Russians, then he comes back. He's halfway. especially if they don't do well in the 2 games previous.
He might as well not return, John.
I guess I'm guilty to have not been paying attention to Russia, but no. I guess the ignorant side of me is just saying we should be able to handle them.
No, we should. But I mean, they're playing at home, so that always makes a difference.
Yeah.
And especially in a tournament like that, and
that's worth a half a goal, and then especially a team like Russia, that's probably like 3/4 of a goal.
And a lot of times the ref is going to be on their side. The calls are more likely to go to their side.
Yeah. So if that's the case, is Osorio, would he be toast, and then the new guy comes in, and does he bring in Tuca or does he bring in Chepo?
Oh man, no, it's
I think it's a very valid question.
If Chepo had taken Santos to semis, then maybe they could entertain that kind of talk. But
no, man, Chepo's maybe next cycle. And I was telling this to John.
Chepo's next cycle's fireman.
I was saying this to it is, and I was saying this to like John Arnold, eldegol.com, because they're just like 2 signings away from being contenders for Liga MX. 2 good signings, and Santos going to be fighting the Campeonato next season.
We should talk about
I think
Santos.
they're going to be serious contenders.
No, but you need those 2 good players. I mean,
I don't know if they have the money to attract.
Well,
you have to remember, Joel, that Santos, they're not owned by Modelo anymore. It's just the family.
True, but I mean they've been pretty good with their negotiating. They managed to bring in some good players so far without breaking the bank. So I mean, if they could pull it off again, then I could see it. Because I guess
the romantic side of me is hoping that let's just keep this team. I could see maybe getting rid of Furch, and if they could maybe pop. But what I'd rather see.
You just got Furch. Why you want to get rid of?
I'm saying I'd be okay with it if they wanted, because he really is one of the main players that I thought that disappointed.
I mean, it's only been there 1 season, and not even 1 season. It's half a season. So.
Having said that, though, like if his goal output could even improve, and if assuming that they kept him, but I'm actually hoping that they give Ronaldo a real legitimate shot to fight for a starting role in the team next season. And it's going to be interesting to see what he does in the World Cup, in the Under-20 World Cup. Because if he has a standout performance, then he's going to be forcing the hand almost.
That's a very good point, and we also have to consider, Dan, that it's not just him. I mean, they have who's the number 7 on the U20 team that's like the water bug, real shifty. Antuna. So they have that kid, and then of course they have Sandoval. And I got to tell you, man, I mean, Sandoval is a player that I think that Santos could get some really, really, really good value for if they wanted to move him. Or obviously, if he plays, and he's gonna do really well for them.
When I was looking at the game against Toluca, I was like, this is gonna be at Club America in a couple of years' time for sure.
Yeah.
If you guys could get Oribe, which it's rumored he's on his way out of Coapa. You guys land Oribe, that would be a good capture.
Man, if they land Oribe and he can coach that kid. I would really, really, really think that. I mean, that would just be fantastic.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah. Then you give Furch to America. I think that's a fair trade.
I don't think they want him.
But you're right, though, Dan. I mean, it was very unfortunate for them in their tie that Sandoval and Giannini didn't play, because when they went to Toluca, I mean, it was. Now I know that Toluca played the game at a whatever. They obviously did not have the intensity that Santos did. But I mean, it was very apparent that the addition of Giannini and Sandoval, if they would have played the first leg, would have. I'm not saying Toluca would have lost, but I don't think it would have been 4-1. I think it would have been a very different game.
I thought both teams really wanted to get the victory on the last game of the season, and what I noticed is that Toluca, I don't know, I felt pretty good going into it. I was like, let's just tie this game and make sure we face him, but losing those two players, I think that was ultimately what, all things being equal, I think I liked our chances because I think we tied them with a man down. So it was a crazy game. I mean, finishing with 9 players. So yeah, what could have been, man. But yeah, on to next season already. That's what, 5 weeks away or something.
No, it's not. Well, it's in July, but like mid-July or something like that. It's not, or even late July.
Yeah, I'm not terribly off.
Dan, I think you're giving up on Furch too quick. 6 months is not, sometimes it takes longer for player to adapt to his new teammates.
No, I'll admit that I'm being hard on him. I'm not. I wouldn't say I've given up on him, but he's definitely disappointed so far.
Well, I would say the same thing to you, Joel, with Pulido.
Pulido's been there longer, but you know what? They paid 20 million for Pulido. So I mean that you're paying that top, Furch went. They just did they traded like a 6 pack of Victorias and
That's harsh.
like some other player, and they got him. You don't even know how much money for Pulido. Everyone knew the price. For Furch, it was it's like a handshake or something.
That's not right, Joel.
But
That's
then,
not right.
and then you think about Osvaldo Martinez and how great he was been. Like, quietly he moved on, and I know I wasn't too impressed with him when he first came on, but he turned out to be one of the better players too. So it worked out pretty good for us, that trade.
Yeah, he's like a Juanpi, but with talent.
Well,
I shouldn't say that.
That's where you guys will probably get another player. That's why I think America, because I mean, Santos America have been, kind to each other in the transfer market. So I feel if Piojo does come, he might want some of his Cholo players. And but I think the main guy to get would be Oribe, just his leadership, and he scores important goals. So I think.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, Oribe is from Torreon. I mean, let him finish his career at home. Yeah. I mean, I think he's earned the right.
Well, I'm pretty sure every Santos fan wants him to finish there.
Yeah, I mean, he's earned the right. I mean, there's no.
Yeah, if you guys get him, I think that would be a big improvement. And
like you mentioned, though, like it could be instrumental in his in developing the kids, because I mean, there's always a shortage of good Mexican strikers. So if you could have one of the best ones that we've had in this last generation, because he's got so much smarts, man. The dude's got like a lot of savvy to his game. He wasn't blessed with the most athletic body. A lot of it is how smart he is on the field. So if you could just impart some of that knowledge to some of the kids, that'd be cool. And like you said, having him back on the team with the team that they have now, it definitely beefs up their chances to contend for the title. So who knows, man? That'd be really, really cool if he came back, though.
I'll tell you what would be great is if Chaton got it going again.
Yeah, that was disappointing not to see him, but it is a little bit weird seeing him with hair. It's almost like, if you're not going to shave your head, then I kind of don't care to see you.
So you would rather him have the bald look?
He just seemed a lot more menacing that way.
I agree. You know who with the same with Torrado as well. You guys remember at the when he went bald? Yeah.
Right.
I just remember
Torrado kind of freaked me out when he did that. I'm not gonna.
Didn't he put in wasn't he the one player that put like piles of like sunscreen on his face? Yes. That's what I remember, Torrado.
Yes, he looked like Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, his face was blue. It was like light blue. I do remember that. That's funny. Now let me ask y'all a question. Speaking of Oribe, I think that this is a good topic we could have of debate here. Now I'm speaking strictly national team. I'm not talking about club. Strictly national team. Who had more of an impact on the national team, Hugo Sanchez or Oribe Peralta?
I'm gonna say Oribe because he helped win the Olympic gold medal.
Well, yeah, Hugo won the. I think Hugo won the bronze.
The bronze?
I think so.
Oh,
I think, or maybe they played for the bronze. Maybe they just played for the bronze in Montreal. I'll have to look that up.
yeah.
But no, but please continue. Please continue.
And,
So
I
they,
mean, Hugo missed out on the '90 World Cup. Totally, he missed out on 2 World Cups. That who knows what he could have done.
right. Well, I think obviously Hugo's national team career through the World Cup was very disappointing because, like you said, they didn't qualify. They didn't qualify in 1982. 1978 was a disaster, and I think he was only like 19 or 20 on that team, so it wasn't really. I don't think he would have played all that much anyway. But and then the 82 they didn't qualify. 86 he does score the goal at against Belgium, but he misses the penalty.
He misses the penalty, man.
And and just imagine how different that World Cup would have been for him if he would have scored that penalty. It would have anyway. And then, unfortunately, like you said, he had the whole Cachirules thing. However,
In the night, and that's when he was at like the top of his game.
yeah,
Like,
it's the cruelest of fates. I mean, it really is. And it wasn't just him. I mean, it was Saguinho was when he was like unbridled, just wild, unleashed, just as just very talented. Negrete he was playing Tomas Boy. I guess he was probably toward the end of his career. But I mean, even that was when Chepa was playing really well too. Joel. He was with Oviedo in Spain. So no, it was just very unfortunate. However, I will say this for Hugo in his defense, although I do agree with you that it was Oribe Joel was when he came back when they had tournaments to play again after the 1990 World Cup when they did the Copa America and they qualified for the World Cup. Hugo was 100% instrumental in both of those. I mean, and not necessarily as a goal scorer, but as a setup guy and just as a and I thought that it worked out for the Ireland game, but I thought it was cruel to take Hugo out of lineup in the '94 World Cup.
in the '93 Copa America too. He didn't really score, but he did play.
He did score.
In getting, no, I'm saying like not that many goals.
Right, but he got a huge goal against Ecuador. And the fact that it was him made it 1,000 times. I mean, I remember I was at this place called the Uptown Sports Bar on the East Side here in Austin. It was back when the East Side was not what it is now. It was the Mexican part of town. Now it's the beards down to people's knees part of town. But he scored. I guess it was off a corner kick, and he scored. It was the first goal, or the second goal, but it was like bam, bam. It was in the semifinal against Ecuador, and it was in Ecuador. And then it was a goal. And then when the fans saw who had scored, I mean, I'd never heard Mexicans erupt like that because I mean it was often you get to celebrate one of his goals, and he was just a great influence to have on that. And then of course the game they had in Canada where they qualified for the World Cup where he set up the second that Abuelo Cruz scored. So Hugo did have a limited impact on the national team, but I think later in his career, I think it was great. I mean, as you say, Joel, it could have been a lot better. And also, he didn't play for them. I mean, he refused to call ups from them for a couple of years too, and then he came back. But Oribe, like you said, Joel, he won the gold medal. He had that 1 year from 2012 to 2013 where he just he won the gold medal for the Pan Am Games, and and obviously won the gold medal for the Olympics and was the leading scorer for the national team. He gets hurt, doesn't go to the Confed Cup. And when they needed him the most to qualify again, it was he scored a hat trick in New Zealand and 2 goals at the Azteca. So he scored 5 goals against New Zealand in 2 games. I'm not saying that other folks were going to do that, but and then he did score a winning goal in the World Cup as Hugo did. So, but I would definitely give the edge to Woody. And he's not done yet. He still has a chance.
I actually think he's with time. I think he's gone on Osorio's good side a little bit. I thought he was actually I thought he was slowly getting phased out, and I've actually been surprised that he's been calling him up and playing him as much as he has. So I think maybe it took Osorio a bit of time to warm up to El Hermoso.
Right. So do you think he's going to go to the Confed Cup, or is he going to go to the Gold Cup?
Confed Cup, I would send him there. But yeah, we'll see.
I would agree with you only because for the Gold Cup, let somebody, whoever needs to prove, like Pulido, all right, buddy, you want to be the big shot in Mexico? Go. Here's a Gold Cup for you. Let's see what you can do.
I don't think Pulido has any chance of going to Confederations.
I'm not talking about Confed. I'm talking about Gold Cup. Give a young kid.
No, that's right. But I mean, we don't have that many strikers to begin with.
Right.
So I mean, he's going on that alone. It's on default.
By default.
Yeah, by default. I mean, that other guy kind of disappeared, Lalo Herrera. There's not that many.
I mean, I was a Pumas guy, and I could tell you that he was never national team material. He just wasn't.
He did have that nice run, and Chivas even tried buying him desperately.
I'm telling you, it was fool's gold.
So you regret not selling him then, because Chivas was like, "Here's my money, take it," and Pumas was like, "Nah, this guy's going places."
I would have felt bad, honestly. I would have felt bad.
They did him a favor, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So he goes to Veracruz, where careers, very Cuauhtemoc is one of the few players that was actually able to resuscitate his career in Veracruz. It's a tough place. I mean, it's the toughest, probably outside of Chiapas, the toughest place to play, I think, Veracruz. Because nowhere else in Mexico are you going to play in that climate. It's just not going to happen.
I could see what you were going to the Gold Cup though, just because you need someone there that's proven, and at the Confeds Cup you have some of these just sort of preferring the more Euro-based players, and that's just my take.
I'm still hoping that they go with mostly kids. I mean, if not winning the tournament isn't all that important, then why not just give an opportunity and the experience to a lot of the kids?
But that's the thing though, is that it is important in Mexico. I mean, again, if they want to be a seed, that's the prize.
Well, that's actually that's true too.
But you know what? We don't, even as fans and then even the media, we're just waiting for the team to fail just so we could criticize it. And we that would be the smart thing to do. Just send a young team, and so it could get experience but we just don't care to see that.
Well, I mean, if Germany can do it for the Confed Cup, there's no reason why Mexico can't do it for the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I think that needs to be validated. I don't think it extends so much to the Gold Cup.
Well, I mean, all I'm saying is, you're sending your best team to another tournament. So if you're not sending your best, then send a U23.
Yeah, I mean, and I just don't see the point of what's probably going to happen is that they're going to send the next best players that are available.
I don't think so. I mean, just by looking at the list that he has here, I mean, I think in some positions, I don't think you have a choice actually, like defenders. But I think that from the midfield and up, I think it's going to be U23 guys. I think it's going to be youngsters. Although Polido, is a little older than that, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to see. Well, of course, I say that. What do I know? You're probably right. There probably will be the next best players. Let's hope not.
Let's hope not.
So I mean, that's just making a policy. You know what? If we're not sending our, we're just going to send the U23. I think it should just be the policy. Period. That way they don't have to, they don't have to guess. They could just, send. Just make it a matter of policy. Anyway. So Dan, with your Santos, do you see them as being a team that we should keep an eye on for the next season?
Without a doubt.
They're definitely on the up. Unfortunately, my Pumas are on the down, although I think that one move they could make that I think would make a huge difference, I think, would be for them to get Moises.
Oh, interesting. That'd be really cool.
I think that he would. I think that it would be a good.
Is that being talked about, or is that just something that you just thought about on your own?
It was something that I just thought about because I figured if he's available, which I'm sure he would be, being the Chiapas is relegated, and they need a goalkeeper because the greatest goalkeeper in the history of organized sport is retiring.
Was he forced to retire?
You know what?
Forced out.
I don't know. It could be. It's going to be so weird not having any kind of Picolín power on the team for the first time, or Verón. Verón's gone too. I mean, you're talking to. Martin said that Verón was the greatest foreigner to ever play for Pumas, and I have a really hard time arguing with him. And I saw Caviño play. I don't know if Martin saw Caviño play, but I mean, it's just the level of. As long as he played, I mean, his level never dropped until just very recently. I mean, he was as good a defender as there was in the entire. I mean, Pumas was one of the hardest teams to score on for 10 years because of him. So yeah, he's gone, and the two Picolines are gone. Oof, that's tough.
And there's really nobody new that's actually Is there any canteranos on the team that have been there a long time, or at least some kind of amount of time?
Well, they got this kid Jaques who got a little playing time. He played against Gignac, and Gignac just took him to, I'll just say, school. But he's he you have to be thrown into the fire to see how you react. But then he got hurt, so then he was out for like 6 weeks, and he just barely started coming back. But I mean, he definitely has potential. It's what they have to rely on because they're just not going to buy that many guys, unfortunately. So we'll see how that turns out for them. And they really, Pumas says they have to at least threaten to make the Liguilla both seasons. They have to have a seasons in the. See, this sucks, Dan. I had to look, and it's they have to get like within like between 20 25 points to not have to worry about the next season being in the drops. So next year is a huge year for Pumas in that regard. So it's kind of like the season that Santos had, this past one. Get enough points to get out of that mess, and then if you make the league, yeah, great. That's where Pumas is going to be.
I didn't realize Pumas was falling that far down.
Well, they had the two things to see, but I'm starting to figure out the whole math of this stuff. It's actually fascinating. So they had
I'm impressed by how you seem to have it all sorted out. I mean, in advance.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So they had a really good season a couple of years ago, but that season's going to fall off the books next year, so it's gone. Like, it was 35 points, and those are like almost unheard of in CantinaMX to have that many. Few teams have get more than 30 in a season. It happens. Doesn't happen very often. So that one's fallen off. and then they just had one that was 19. So that is a 16-point difference that they're going to be using in the coefficient. So that's why it's really dangerous for teams to have 3 seasons with numbers in the teens, like where they can't get to 20 points. If you have that, then you're going to be in the relegation mess for 2 to 3 years. That's why Atlas is in the mess they're in now, because they had a 29-point season and a 30-point season gone, and they're being replaced by like a 18-point season and a 17-point season. So the difference there is what, 26 points? That's massive. So they went from like 5th or 6th all the way down to 17th. So Atlas will be in will be fighting relegation next year. And Santos is teetering. They're kind of like Pumas. They can't afford to have one of those bad seasons, which I don't think they will. I don't think Pumas will either. I hope. Gentlemen, we should wrap this up. It was another fine show.
Predictions for Sunday.
Joel, why don't you go first?
I could see another draw for Chivas or a win by the minimum difference. They're advancing, and I could see. I think Cholos is going to give Tigres a run for their money, but that 2-goal lead is massive, and I see Tigres advancing as well. So we got the final that televisoras want. Maybe Chivas is kicking themselves for having, done that deal a bit too soon on the TV with their Chivas TV thing.
That's right, because they're going back to Televisa Deportes next.
No, they're already at TVN.
Oh, so
They're already back with.
oh man.
So yeah, I think that will be the final. So
That's very possible. I believe what'll happen is your buddy Joel Alan Pulido is going to get a doblete, and they're going to win 2-0. And it's going to be bang bang. He's going to get it like within 15 minutes in the first half, and then they'll hold on and just play the counter, and they'll get close, but they won't get any more. But they'll win 2-0 comfortably. I do think that Tijuana is definitely going to score, but if Tigres playing the possession game is one thing, Tigres playing the counter, they're equally as dangerous. And I people forget how good a counter team they are, and I think that they're going to go do what they did against Toluca a few years ago, where they're just going to absorb, and just hit them in the second half with Aquino. They're going to bring in Damian Alvarez again, and it's going to be they'll take care of it. And you're right, it's going to be the dream final for Univision, because they'll get both legs, and they'll get them in prime time, and they'll get them in sweeps, and they couldn't ask for a better. It'll at least in this country, I think the ratings will be massive.
yeah,
for
agreed.
in this country, because I think that this might be the first final that attracts more than just the Mexican national or the
and Chivas hasn't been in a final, so there's that hype train. They haven't been in a final since 2006. So yeah, 11 years.
Do you think on some level that might creep into some of the players' minds?
I don't think so, because you know why, Dan? And so you have a lot of Americanistas that are going to be watching too, hoping Chivas doesn't win. You're going to be temporary Tigre fans. But Dan, this Chivas squad is mostly foreigners. And by foreigners, I mean non-canteranos. The majority of the team came from other teams.
Dan, what do you think is going to happen? Should I go ahead and just Dan? Are you going to issue a challenge? Or are you just going to give your prediction?
No, I actually think I'm not gonna go on the limb or anything. I think Chivas is gonna go through, and I also think Tigres is gonna go through. I think I think the Tigres Cholos match is gonna be a lot better, actually, more entertaining. I figure it's probably gonna be high scoring. At least that's what I figure. But I wouldn't be shocked if Chivas actually got bounced. I don't think it'll happen, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Damn! Wow. That was like at least a. That was just a little mini shot, just a little.
It was mini.
Yeah, just a quick jab to the kidneys.
They just haven't convinced me, is what I'm saying. And as been stated, they're not exactly a complete team at the moment. So,
well, what you say is true. What you say is true, but I do think that they're gonna
let's just
put it up.
Just give Tigres the trophy already.
So you want the name engraved? You just go ahead and FedEx it so that Tuca can just go ahead and say, "Me mandaron el trofeo ayer." Well, I can't do Tuca as well as I can do.
That almost sounded like La Volpe, but
yeah,
no, it's theirs to lose, I think. But we'll see, man. I mean, Liga MX is notorious for giving us random ass results.
No estén buscando tres patas al pinche gato que no tiene.
Exactly. Well, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think everyone seems to be in agreement. But it is Liga MX, so who knows? It'll be very entertaining. That's going to be Sunday. I almost feel like I shot it out Sunday night. Maybe we should do like a quick recap of Sunday's games on Sunday night, because they will certainly be interesting. Some we should keep in mind.
Yeah.
As we push through, gentlemen, as always, it's been fun. It was a good show tonight. I really appreciate y'all putting up with us here on the CantinaMX podcast and letting us talk a little barroom conversation about the world of soccer, particularly Mexican soccer. So we do appreciate you guys joining us. Daniel Preciado, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks. Fun as always.
Joel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, John.
We'll see you next week, Joel.
Next week, or hopefully this Sunday.
Yes, that's true. Hopefully we'll see each other. We'll talk to each other on Sunday. Hopefully you'll be in a good mood, Joel. I want you to come on the show and just just be ready, Joel. But I'm sure. I think you'll be in a good mood, Joel. I think you'll be in a good mood. So we'll talk to you then. Thank you guys for joining us. My name is John Jagu. Really do appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to that CantinaMX podcast, and we'll do this again maybe on Sunday, but definitely next week. We'll talk to you guys then. Thank you very much.